Hello, my name is Michael Griffin. I'm here to talk about survival skills, and I've been living in the woods roughly 25 years on and off now. I do a lot of study on edible plants and medicinal plants. Been doing it for a very long time, and a lot of people want to know my personal opinion because TV and stores like REI have their 10 essentials. What is really important? Since I've been out there, they want to know. Um, I kind of make it very simple for people to understand, and and it's not rocket science. Once you listen to what I'm saying, you won't ever have a doubt what's important out in the woods. But number one thing I think in reality is knowledge. Lack of knowledge, um, you're hurting yourself out there in the woods. So you want to first learn as much as you can before you actually end up in a situation. But if you think of the four elements of the world, you think of earth, wind, fire, and water. Um, then you'll never have a problem with what's important. And when you listen to this, you'll know I'm telling you the truth. Um, but it doesn't go in that order. It goes in the order of wind, earth, water, and fire. And what I mean by that is when you're in a survival situation, you might be in an accident or something like that. And the first importance in life is to be able to breathe, to be able to have air. So air, wind, whatever you want to call it, that's important. You can't live pretty much past 3 minutes. And if you do live past 3 minutes, you're creating brain damage. And so you want to clear the air passages. Wind could also mean the wind, the blood that's going through you. You got to stop the blood, whatever it is. You're not going to live long if you're bleeding to death. So the first thing is to take care of your medical conditions. So you should learn some kind of medical skills uh, in the outdoors, what you can do to stop these things. Learn, take CPR classes or something like that, and basic knowledge of how first aid. Second thing I would say would be earth. And why I would say that is you got 3 minutes to live with wind, but if you're out in the cold or in extreme heat, most people aren't going to live past 13 hours out in extreme exposure. And I'm not talking about just daily exposure up on the tree. I'm talking about extreme exposures. And so, if you don't have some kind of shelter or get out of the shelter, your chances of living through the night are going to be very slim. So that's very important. And your shelter can just be getting out of the elements, what I'm talking about here, which can reduce the effects of radiation that's beating down on you. Conductive, which is actually drawing energy out of you. The wind is pushing the element the warmth away from you, um, or the winds doing the reverse. And water, rain can give you hypothermia very quickly. So you would want to find some kind of shelter there. Sometimes in the heat, water would be a shelter to cool you down real quick. So in that sense, water can be a plus in extreme exposures. So just trying to get through the night, you want to make sure that you have some way, or through the heat of the day, some kind of shelter. That's extremely important. Third one would be water. And why I say that, you got wind 3 minutes, 13 hours roughly for shelter, earth, and then you got roughly 3 days for water. Most people um, are going to really be struggling after the third day. I've done water without for 5 days. I don't recommend it. I will never do that again. Um, it's really strained on my body. But when you start losing water, your brain um, you start getting a little delusional. Your thirst, you get the headaches. You're not seeing things clearly. You're not thinking clearly. So the very importance of getting some kind of water is extremely important. And I can go on other videos later on how to get water and what to do. Um, the next one would be fire. Now, fire can be just heat from the sun. The sun is fire. Fire can boil your water. The sun can boil your water, as we see in solar stills and stuff like that. So this doesn't necessarily actually mean an actual fire that's, we think traditionally as fire. Any kind of hot source bring heat, cook your food, do whatever you need. So the sun itself can dehydrate food. It can kill bacteria out of water through UV radiation. And so, but you should be able to learn some way of starting some kind of fire, be primitive or whatever. Have some kind of back knowledge of how to start fires in several different ways. And a lot of fire is not essential to life besides the sun. You need its warmth, but you can live without fire. A lot of Indian scouts never even lived with a fire once in their life. They were trained not to have that smoke smell on them, not to be able to use fire so they could be seen for a long distance. And a lot of um, they didn't use fire in that sense because the Indians could come up on them and find campfires and stuff like that. So to be a successful scout, it was they were raised not to live around fire. They pretty much lived at animal existence. And when you master not having fire, then like the fox or the deer, you become a master of your own environment. But fire is important, but I consider it the last. And there's a next one I would consider um, important is staying busy. Have some kind of hobby, learn survival skills, look at the plants, just enjoy yourself like you're on the beach or something. Don't get yourself mindset on tragedies, but think of it more like a vacation. We all want vacations, so take this chance and say, hey, this is a vacation. I'm going to relax. I'm going to enjoy this as much as I can. I may not have what I want, but what do I need? And this is pretty much what you need, what I'm telling you. But if you don't have that, it'll revert back to the first survival skill. And there's another set of elements there I consider spiritual elements. There's the physical elements that I just talked about, but there's spiritual elements. And you can consider wind a good spirit. If you don't have a good spirit, and you're quickly going to end up depressed. So at the end, you can have all your needs, but at the met. But if you have a bad, depressed spirit, thinking this situation sucks, you cannot wake up in the morning, not tend to the needs of the camp, the food, the fire, and then you end up right back to square one where you were. So it could be this revolving up and down depression kind of thing and trying to build yourself back up. So as long as you stay busy, you're not going to fall into that depression as much, and which will keep your spirits up, to keep it going. Um, Earth, I would consider spiritually, is who you are. What this is your body, this is your temple. Who are you? What are you capable of doing here, and what are you trying to do? And as long as you understand who you are and what you're trying to do, then you pretty much got your shelter within yourself spiritually. You're trying to get home, or you're trying to relate this experience to God or someone. Water, I would consider like a spiritual river. It's like, where are you going with all this? Are you trying to succeed? Are you trying to make something out here, never go back to society? Um, what is it? What is it that you're trying to do? Where are you going with this? Um, Fire would be like a Holy Spirit in a sense, but it's like your passion, your desire. And as long as you keep that up, then you have the spiritual elements needs as what met as well. And that's extremely important in a survival situation. A lot of people don't even think about the spiritual aspects of this, but that's why the Indians were so successful in what they did. They always kept the physical and the spiritual bonded together. And as long as you did that, you were going to survive. You had what it took to survive. And if you don't have you can have all the knowledge, you can have know all the plants, but if you don't have the spiritual side to it, the of the wind, the earth, and the water and the fire of the spirit, then you're not going to survive that much in the woods at all. You're going to quickly give up. You'll find mostly that people that stay and don't give up are those ones that have more spirit and less physical knowledge. They have a determination not to give up. And that's what keeps them going. So that's really more important than the physical aspects. Um, if you can get out there and you realize, you know, in life, I think a big point in life is uh, point in life is to live in your means and not have too many wants. I think a want is a down failure, especially in a survival situation, and just in basic life whatsoever. You have this want, it becomes a desire. This desire becomes a lust, then it becomes an envy or a jealousy, and then it becomes this bitterness, anger, hate, and rage, which is the fruits of the flesh. And it can make you a very negative person. And if you look at life in the sense that, hey, I have my basic essentials, I have my spiritual basic essentials. That's all you really need on earth. You don't need any more. And you may want that steak out there, but a squirrel will get you through. And if you don't like the squirrel, well, think about it. Just close your eyes and taste the flavor, and then think about culinary arts were made out of necessity. So when somebody had to eat a food that wasn't pleasant, like the slaves eating chitlins, they made it pleasant, and now it's a luxury food to them. So when you're eating a squirrel or something, take a plant that is spicy or something that you found that you know that's edible, and see how you can mix and match, and you can keep your hobbies up. You can cook that squirrel 100 different ways. You can boil it, you can dehydrate it, you can pit cook it, you can cook it on the fire, on the coals, you can spit cook it. You can always keep yourself busy. So even though that you may not have the desire for a squirrel, whole squirrel, you might actually find out that you do just great by barbecuing it and enjoy it that way. So as long as you just keep your mind open to new ideas and new things, you could be out in the woods forever and just be totally fun and having fun. And I think those are really what really counts in a survival situation. You don't really want to be stuck in a frame mind that makes you think that this is what you need. And good point though. If you're so accustomed to luxuries, what you should do is write down a list of everything that you use in the house, clothes that you wear, or like when we go to the bathroom, write down everything that you use, sink, mirror, comb, everything. And then figure out ways that you can transfer that to a survival situation. How do you make a comb out in the woods? How do you make a toothbrush in the woods? How do you make toothpaste in the woods? And then once you start learning those skills, or what you normally would do at home, you can easily bring comfort to a survival situation. You don't have to learn what the Indians did. Learn what you're doing on a daily basis and then transfer that into the outdoors, and you'll have a more comfortable stay. That's a thing I like to tell people a lot to do is, write down everything that you're doing, how you sleep, what you're sleeping on, what you prefer, food wise. Do you like sauteing? Do you like boiling? I mean, just carry that into the woods. And when you learn to do without, and you learn that you can make a toothbrush out of a twig and some twine that you get from like a fibrous plant, you can make a toothbrush very easily, and you don't have to live without and have a grungy mouth. And you can make soaps out of. If you learn how to make soaps and stuff, the more knowledge you have, the better you are out in the woods. And like I said, the first thing, a lack of knowledge ends up in disaster. So the more you know, the better you'll be. This is Michael, and I'll have a lot more videos coming. And when I finish talking about all my um, philosophies that I believe when it comes to being in the outdoors, then I'll start actually showing you how to live in the outdoors. But until now, I just want to talk about the philosophies behind how I live in the woods. It is just so successful all these years. Thank you very much.